So we're ready to move on. Commission comments? Gary or Linda, whoever.
Yeah, on another thing with the roads, at the same session they talked about the access management plan, and one of the points they brought out is that the management plan was and is provided by the city. So it's our study. KDOT didn't make the recommendations for road closings, but it's from our plan. The access management plan had quite a bit of money in it for 2018, and there weren't very many applications for it. Of course, we would have to sign the agreement for funding. The letter says we're already under the agreement. KDOT will look at any development according to our plan along the corridor, but with this program where we've applied for a milling and overlay on West Main, that we could get funding through the access management plan for that, which all we have to pay is the design. But also then looking, there's a section on West Main east of the Peter Pan Main Street intersection that's asphalt. It's where that bump is, where the asphalt's rolled. We could use this money to go and concrete further west, remove that asphalt. And visiting with Sean at the trade show, there is a method of instead of doing full bed replacement, to remove the asphalt, and it's called white topping. They go in with concrete, and he's mentioned like a 6-inch overlay of concrete. But where we applied under the C-CLIP program for the milling and overlay, and that money was gone, there was still money in the access management plan, but we didn't apply. So this can offer us another avenue to look at and consider for continuing improvements on the corridor in that area. Some options would be, and I think there was like $3 million in the plan. It might be all allocated now. As a couple of weeks ago, they were having money available, that not all of it had been applied for. So from that and looking at what we've got coming up along there, it might be a good option. I think when you look at the diagram, here's Super 8. Mm-hmm. This portion switches to asphalt about here. So, we could, using the access management plan, go with extending it out concrete, and then we're just out the design fee. So again, if we can get these programs to fund our road work, then we can take the money we were going to have to use in matching funds and do some of our city streets or other projects that are needed.
So where are we at on the access management plan? We had.
Do you have any update for language? I think I've mentioned to you, we met with KDOT, Wayne Goodmanson, just about a week and a half ago, as well as his supervisor, Nelda Buckley, and another regional and their PR person. They talked about the access management. But obviously the discussion is, why haven't we signed it yet? I mean, they weren't pushing us. That's not the reason we actually meant to push us. But we talked about it, and obviously we haven't come to an agreement on what the certain language should be. We've asked for language from them, and they're hesitant to give us special language. I mean, I'm not telling you anything new here. You know, that's been the hang-up, is getting that language. And so my goal was, what do we need to do? Let's move forward and get some language from the state that's acceptable to them, that they won't feel like it sets too much of a precedent across the rest of the state. I mean, that's my understanding has been the issue, is they don't want to take anything out of their standard language that everybody else has for independence. But we want some caveats in there, if you will, because of concerns, business owners, and rightly so. So I don't know if you've heard anything recently, but Jeff had been communicating with them, again, trying to get proposed language from them that we could look at. But that's the latest I have on that.
Well, the agreement that they're asking us to sign just is for funding. The last letter we got from Access Management Plan, it said, you know, do we want to participate in funding? And it stated at the same time that our projects would be along the corridor viewed as under the Access Management Plan, which goes by our already submitted closures that we suggested. And the reason they're called concepts is because they're negotiable. Well, you know, an example for Sonic, initially there were no curb cuts allowed there, but KDOT did negotiate and allowed them to add a curb cut. So, you know, the thing, the longer we wait, the less chance we're going to get the money. And it is, you know, from looking at the letters we've received, KDOT is interpreting that we're under we took $2 million, so they're saying, you're under it, just you want any more money. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, going to be up to us. Do we want
So do
more
business
money?
owners on West Main have to worry? What assurances do they have
Well,
that it won't affect their businesses?
they're already under the management plan that was submitted.
It's legal. I don't know.
So, you know, I was just bringing it out that there's money available in that program if we're interested in doing work along the management corridor. Then here, there weren't a lot of applicants. In fact, the secretary went out soliciting people to apply for, I think Coffeyville applied for $1 million of it, and Parsons applied, and so it's just an area that's not often submitted for, and it's 100% funding up to $2 million. So that was my comment on it.
Good stuff.
I mean, I don't know where we go. I mean, we had some folks that were pretty passionate about what it could potentially do to their businesses. So how do we balance that out? I mean, what assurances would they have that if there was something that came up, change ownership or whatever, and however that's all defined, then will that affect their businesses? Because we heard a couple stories about, well, it effectively will ruin their business.
It'll affect it now because the study's been done and it's been submitted to KDOT.
Well, we're asked for a definition of change of use, wasn't that correct?
Right.
And so change of use could be determined to be anything that they said it would be, making them vulnerable. Would that be correct?
And right now it's been mainly traffic count or total, you know, a gas station goes out and a restaurant goes in, the curb access changes to be more appropriate for that business. You don't have the size and the number of entrances. Their change of use will be like a change of occupancy.
Well, we need to see where we're at with it. I don't know what you said is true. I mean, if it was a change of use and they came in there and they did that, then potentially there wouldn't be anything open back up out there.
Yeah.
The point is that changing of use is kind of open-ended. It's subjective in some aspects of it. And there, when we met with them, you've also heard some things we didn't hear because they didn't quite come across that clear with us. They don't want to be pinned down, is the impression I got. They like it to be kind of vague so that
They can decide.
They can decide, yeah.
Yeah, the district engineer, they always say, they work with you, and they do. They're good to work with. And it's kind of like, trust us, we're the government. We tell people that. They're telling us that. I mean, that's kind of the impression I got at the meeting. They were resisting further definition. But I thought they said they would take it under advisement and get back with us. I thought they said that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it was about a week and a half ago or so, maybe 2 weeks, and I know Wayne said he was going to do some further discussing with some of the business owners, and but I don't know if that's happened or not. But yeah, that's how we left it. Is again, get back to us with some language we think everybody can live with. But so we're waiting on that.
So KDOT needs to talk to the businesses out there on West Main.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that.
You don't think, well, that,
I think any business on a highway corridor anywhere in town there's some risk.
On Highway 75.
Yeah, there's some risk that if a big significant change, they're going to look at your entryways, driveways.
you see that?
And just because they make you apply for a new access doesn't mean they're going to reject it. I think that was the fear on the incident that happened. Because they waited too long. They waited 3 months. That was part of the problem. But I don't want to hash all that. But just because you have to apply again doesn't necessarily mean it'll be rejected. But it would be nice to have more objective criteria so the businesses can plan accordingly. Right now, there's not much objectivity to it. It kind of depends on the person sitting in the chair out there.
Yeah, at the public hearing, when the plan was presented, it was brought up by some of the property owners on, I think it was North Penn. There were only a few property owners that attended, and they asked, I think, the car wash north of the Dairy Queen and Mikey's asked because on the management plan it shows the corner curb cuts moved to the west, and that's where the engineers said, no, it's not now. You take the pumps out, then we would expect to have the curb cut moved so that it would get traffic farther away from the intersection. That was the biggest concern was right there of how it would impact it. So it's just something, once it's resolved, we'll have access to the funds and be a significant benefit.
Well, whatever we do, we need to communicate with those business owners so that, like Jeff said, they can come. Okay. Gary, you got anything?
I did want to ask Craig one question, but Craig, if you could make your answer really short, because this meeting's gone long enough, but I know you had a meeting with all the candidates for commission.
Yes.
Could you explain that to me just briefly, exactly what took place?
Yes, and we'll be actually sending out a media release on that, but as well. Something I've always liked to do during an election is have what we call a meet and greet the candidates, and the candidates meet and greet city staff. So we did that today at noon. We had a light lunch for all the candidates. 5 of the 6 candidates attended. Leonard was there, and so we. What basically we do is we introduce the staff. We had a couple of presentations today for the candidates to explain things. I gave a presentation on budget process, budget preparation, and then Tim Emmert from Jeff's firm gave a presentation on our form of government in Independence, our commission manager form of government and the roles and responsibilities of staff and commissioners and what they were. So, and then we went around, like say, every department had to introduce themselves, told them about their department. Candidates did the same, talked a little introduction about them. Again, it's just a very informal thing. We sat around the table with presentations, but then we broke up, had a brownie and a Coke.
No fruit.
A brownie and a Coke or root beer or whatever, and candidates could go talk to any of the staff, ask questions. It's a good way to just introduce the staff to the candidates and let them know there's information. And I gave them all a copy of the budget documents as well, if they hadn't already pulled it off the website.
Right. Okay, thanks.
That's it.
I don't know that we've done that.
Sorry,
in the
I
past.
probably went on too long. But
No, it's good. Good to know. I just wondered. I don't think we've ever done anything like
No,
that.
this was a first. It was really good.
Yeah,
Good.
that's a great
Yeah.
addition, Craig. Thank you for that.
It was.
Informative.
Yeah,
Good.
very good.
That's all I had, Fred. Thank you.
Okay. Public concerns, Debbie, I have you on Cora.
Okay, get them up there, Kenny. A Cora statute mandates that fees assessed for Cora requests will not exceed the actual cost of furnishing the records. For some time, I believe the city's Cora fees were excessive and therefore violated this statute. I did not bring my concerns to the city's attention because I knew it wouldn't do anything about them, so Cora requesters were charged the city's illegal Cora fees. When the city signed the consent decree with the Attorney General's office last February, one of the stipulations to which each signee agreed was that the city would not engage in any future violations of the Cora. I immediately emailed then records custodian Jennifer Rutledge about the city's illegal Cora fees, but the city took no action. When Mr. Borovitz became records custodian, I notified him 7 times about this Cora statute and/or the city's violation of it, yet the city still took no action. City Attorney Jeff Chubb was aware of the many times I had voiced my concerns about the city's illegal Cora fees, but took no action to bring them into compliance until last July when another Cora requester filed a complaint about them, something our transparent city government chose not to disclose to the public. Many Cora requesters have suffered monetary damages because of the city's illegal Cora fees. I have suffered significant monetary damages because of those fees. It is especially unfortunate that some Cora requesters could have been spared any such damages had Ms. Rutledge, Mr. Borovitz, or Mr. Chubb addressed the city's illegal Cora fees when I first voiced my concerns about them last February. This extremely costly lesson has taught me that should I have concerns about the city violating Cora statutes, I should file a complaint with the Kansas Attorney General's office. As a result, that office now has complaints for violations pertaining to 12 Cora requests I have made since the city signed the consent decree. These are in addition to the pending Cora complaint I filed in July. There are 3 to 5 violations for each request, with some of the violations being repetitive. I included them so Assistant Attorney General Lisa Mendoza would have a better understanding of how the city fulfills its Cora request. My position on some of these complaints may be wrong, but I know once findings have been made about them or any additional complaints, bickering over Cora statutes will finally end, and the city will once again fulfill Cora requests in the same professional, thorough, and legal manner in which former records custodian Tony Royce always fulfilled them. More importantly, all individuals once again will be afforded the rights to an open government as guaranteed them by the Cora. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any executive sessions?
no.
Okay. Entertain a motion then I'd make a motion then that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We'll sign our papers. Go home.